Happy Monday, Flosstube. Hello, crafty friends. It is Monday, April 27th, and I snuck out to the car to record today's video, as you can clearly see, because Sarah is vacuuming, and I wasn't about to stop her. So I thought I would come out here today. Also, it's nice and quiet out here, other than traffic noise, which I'm sure you'll hear. I have the window cracked open a little bit because it's hot in the car today, which is shocking. I had to wait for a few minutes because I had a couple that had obviously clearly come out for a walk, and they were standing right at the end of my driveway, staring and pointing and talking to each other about the magnolia tree, which is lovely. But I thought maybe having a lady sitting in her car talking to herself, maybe they would be talking about something else other than the tree. So I decided to wait for a minute, but coast is clear now. So I am working on my big gray sock, and I have a funny feeling that I might sit out here for an extra 5 minutes after I'm done chatting with you. Maybe knit an extra row. So as you can see, I have now taken it off the DPNs. I've got it back on my little small circular needle, and I have done 3 decrease rows. And so you alternate when you're doing the gusset decreases, you alternate a decrease round with a regular round. So I think I've done 6 rounds since I put it back on the little needle. So all thanks to Karen, who gave me a little nudge and asked me how the sock was going. You know, lots of times people will ask and it doesn't galvanize me, but just for some reason this time I thought, yeah, it's time, let's get on with it. So it's just I'm pleased to have it back on the circular needles. Needle one, singular. Though, is it circular needles because they have 2 tips? I don't know. It is warm out here. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to sit. I've got just one window cracked open. Let's just open another one here. Just a little. Oh, I'm gonna have to put the key in. Okay, you're gonna hear a little ding ding ding. Hang on. Maybe not. Yeah, there it is. Whew. Yeah, it's warm. So you'll hear the traffic noise a little bit more now, but you'll also hear the birds. I can hear my cardinal friend. And the robins were singing earlier. So that's the cardinal, that one, and motorcycle. So what else have I got to share with you today? I brought a basket out with me, and a few different things to share with you. So this weekend was 24 hours of cross stitch, and I shared on Saturday what I worked on Friday night and Saturday, a little bit on Saturday morning, and I actually haven't touched those 2 pieces since I shared them with you on Tuesday. But I did switch projects, and I worked on my Ink Circles mandala for the remainder of the time that I had. I did not do a full 24 hours. It's just not feasible when you know, just sometimes life just happens and you can't do that. And I'm in a season of my life where a full 24 hours dedicated just to stitching is unlikely. But I did get way more done than I would have without the event. So I'm really grateful to Jen and her mom Cindy for hosting it, because it was fun. So my mandala, you can see I have made, actually I think of it as being this way up. It doesn't matter, it's geometric, they're all the same, but this is how I've been working on it. So as you can see, I've put in quite a bit of the mustard that was the substitution for the pink. So my 4 color families are browns, greens, mustards, and this sort of periwinkle blue. I didn't bring the threads out with me because, well, they're all in floss away bags, and at the moment they're spread out over my stitching table inside. So maybe on Wednesday I'll share the actual colors with you, but everything except the mustard, which I'm doing in DMC, The other three color families are in a Vicky Clayton HDF silk. And my friend Robin, hi Robin, who is also, she had started this at the same time that I did with the Thread and Eye Stitch Along. So, excuse me, this is called the Thread and Eye mandala. And I suspect you can probably still find it on Tracy's website. I haven't checked, but Ink Circles is, I mean, she does amazing mandalas. Any mandala that you would choose from her collection is going to give you something stunning. So, and I have to say, having the outline done and being able to just fill in color has been really fun, really fun. So, you know, I think that this is going to be hanging around and being worked on for the next few days at least, because I'm finding it very pleasurable. I didn't even look at Savon, which for me, to go even a single day without putting work into Savon was surprising. So my friend Robin was inspired to pull hers out and start working on it as well. So I'm hoping maybe Robin will send me a picture of hers so that I can share it with you. But she also is using the same periwinkle blue colors, and she messaged me and she said, do you happen to have a skein of the Vicky Clayton Ethereal Blue number 2305? And I said, why, yes, I do, because I have one skein. It's the one I'm using in my project. So she's missing a skein of Vicky Clayton 2305. This is a discontinued silk. So I should preface this by saying that I have a funny feeling I'm only going to use half of a skein. So Robin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very frugal with mine, and I will try to save you half of my skein. So if we can't find another skein, hold off, and I'll try to start with that color and maybe add that in so that I can send you any of my leftovers. But if anyone else out there in Flosstube land, Vicky Clayton silk is a little bit like, people might think of it as being their unicorn. It can be hard to find because it is discontinued. So if somebody has this has 2305 in their stash and they're not using it, and I don't know, maybe we could trade you for a different skein of Vicky Clayton. I have a few extras in my stash, a few bobbins and a couple other skeins. I don't know, maybe 10 other colors that aren't kitted up in other projects. So I don't know, maybe we could work out a trade or something. Anyways, let me know. If not, I am going to try and save half of my skein for you, Robin. So we'll see what we can do. Anyways, I'm just so pleased with this. Fabric is just a white linen. It looks like a 28 count. Simple, 2 strands of floss over 2. And you know, DMC is clearly cotton, and I mix cotton and silk willy-nilly. That doesn't bother me one bit. I'm going for color here, not necessarily fiber content. So I think that it makes a pretty nice mix. I'm very happy with it. So I'm going to finish the blue in here. I believe these are greens in here. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, I'm loving it. Okay. The other thing that I have to share with you. Okay. The only other thing I worked on since Saturday was Sarah's Afghan. And this is the Talon Throw, Talon, by Brooklyn Tweed. And it is, it's going to be couch Afghan size. It's going to be about 46 inches by 75, give or take an inch or two. And I put in 4 rows since the last time I shared it. And I know it looks exactly the same, but 4 rows is 4 rows. These are long rows, especially the very first row of the pattern repeat is it's a 4-stitch cable. All the other rows that have cables, it's a 3-stitch cable, but the first row of the pattern is a 4-stitch cable. And I always have to concentrate because there's, that's why I use the stitch markers to tell me, you know, where I am in the row of the pattern, because these stitches then repeat. So then that's another repeat there. and so you're less likely to have to rip back too much. If you get to your stitch marker and your pattern is off, you can then look back in between those two stitch markers to determine, I'm showing you the back of it, to determine where your mistake is. So as long as you're paying attention, you can save yourself a lot of trouble by using stitch markers. Now, lots of times I am my own worst enemy and I don't use stitch markers, and I have been bitten far too many times in the past. So I do try to use them now where I think that they would be helpful. So I had a question about yarn from Ida, and I haven't answered this question yet. So while I'm thinking about it, I mentioned that I was adding in the 4th skein of yarn to the blanket, and I showed the skein of yarn, and I said I was going to cake it up, and Ida said, what does that mean? What the heck is a cake of yarn? Well, this is what it is. So what you do, imagine that you're dealing with a skein of Silks for You. It comes in that huge hank. Well, some yarn comes the same way. You can purchase yarn that's already in a ball that you can just pull the yarn off the ball. But some yarn you purchase like that Silks for You hank, and it comes in a hank. And if you tried to knit just from that, you'd be in big, big trouble. I'll tell you a funny story one time about my mother trying to wind up a skein of yarn, and I offered to help, and she did not take me up on my offer to help, and let's just say it took her a really long time to wind that skein of yarn, and that's all I'll say about that. Sorry, Mom, sorry to tell your secrets. But this is it. So what you do is, I've got 2 very inexpensive tools that I purchased from Knit Picks years and years ago, and they're made of plastic. They're not very good quality, but they do the job. One of them is called a Swift, and you open up the hank of yarn, and you put it on the Swift, and the Swift turns round and round and round. And then I have what's called a ball winder. So that's a separate tool, and the ball winder has a crank on it, and you load up the yarn onto it, and then you wind the yarn that's coming off the Swift onto the ball winder, and it turns it into a cake of yarn. There are 5 people walking down my road at the moment. Okay, I'm gonna put you on pause for a minute. They're gonna think I'm weird. Okay. It's like Grand Central Station out here today, honestly. I have seen more people in the last 20 minutes than I have seen in the last month. I don't tend to leave the house very often. Okay, so I was telling you about the cake of yarn. So Ida, that's why it's called a cake. It looks like a little cake. But you can also, you don't need the tools. If you have a hank of yarn, all you need is a friend to hold the hank open with 2 hands, and then you wind it into a ball off of their hands. Or you can use the back of a chair, or most distracting Flosstube ever. Apologies, but if I go back inside, the vacuuming will stop, so bear with me. So that's all I had to share with you today. So I'm just going to pick up my sock again while we chat for another minute. I did check my mailbox earlier, and I did have a package in there from Glendon Place. So I'm going to save it until tomorrow. I opened it. Of course I opened it. I couldn't wait. But I'm going to save it until tomorrow to share with you. And then we can chat about it in tomorrow's little daily crafty chat. So the only other thing that I wanted to share with you today, because I think it is so much fun, on the Facebook group, this is how I found out about it. Though I think originally the very first person who did this was Martha. Do you remember Martha was the amazing lady who sent me that extra card of Silk Gallery. Was it Silk Gallery? No, Rainbow Gallery. Rainbow Gallery, the metallic that I needed to finish my oh, good gravy. That I needed to finish my Starry Skies from Nancy's Needle, the counted canvas piece. Well, Martha, one and the same. Martha messaged me and she said, oh, I just wanted to let you know that I have been using your videos as motivation to work on this one project. It's an old whip that I really want to finish, and so when your videos are on, I can only work on this one project. And I thought, how much fun is that? And then she finished it and she shared it, and it was just really, I don't know, like it was like this little kind of neat thing that I knew when I'm talking to Martha, because I know what she's working on while we're chatting. Well, then yesterday or Saturday, another woman, Lydia, posted a photograph of what she's stitching, and she said, I am working on this piece every day when Caroline posts her videos. And so hi, Lydia. I think that is so much fun that you're doing that, and I feel like, you know, it's kind of nice to know specifically what project you're only working on when we have a chat together, and that it's motivation for you to work on it and put a few more stitches into it. So I was joking around and I said that I would try to chat for a few extra minutes today so that Lydia could get a few extra stitches put into her project. So I thought, you know, wouldn't that be, oh, hang on a second. I have to make sure if I need a decrease here, I have to check. So let me just take my glasses off for a moment. So hang on, bear with me here for a sec. I have to check the other side because I like them to match. So, okay, this is just a plain knit row. So I can carry on. I'd like to know if there are any others of you out there who might want to do the same thing. If you might want to pick a project that's been languishing or that you really want to see it finished up. And my challenge to you is maybe you will use these daily videos to work on just that one project, and every day you'll maybe get, you know, let's face it, have I done a video that was less than 10 minutes? I think I've done only a couple. Most of these videos are at least 15 minutes long, So 15 minutes of progress on your project every day. I would love to see it. Another car. We live in a cul-de-sac, so often people who think they can get through to the really busy road that's behind me will drive down our cul-de-sac and spin around in it when they realize they can't go right through. We've had people drive through our driveway. They'll drive right into our driveway, and it's a circular driveway, so they'll pull in and they'll do a little U-turn in our driveway. It's quite funny. But anyways, if you'd like to do this, I would love to see a photograph of what you're working on and your name, and so that I can, you know, think about your project, and it's, you know, we're having a conversation here, and I think that's really fun. And if you send me a picture, if you email me a picture, caroline@evertote.com, and you can make sure you put something in your subject line that says daily crafty chat whip or something like that, and I'll pop the photos in at the end of these videos, and so that we can share them with everybody else, because lots of people don't want to make Flosstube videos. Lots of people do make Flosstube videos, but for those of you who don't want to make videos but you'd like to share your stitching, what a better way to do this? And I would be thrilled. So please email me if you're going to be working on a project and you're going to use my chatty daily videos as motivation to work on those projects that you'd like to see finished, send me a photo and I'll share them. Please include details of what you would like included and what you wouldn't like included. So if you don't want me to use your name, or if you don't want me to use, I don't know, you know what I mean, right? Please include information that you want me to include. Also, if you could put the details of your project, the title of it, the fabric that you're using, what material, like flosses you're using, designer information, anything like that, and then I can edit that in right into what I'll do is I'll put I'll show the photo, and then I'll put up a screen that has just the information on it, and I'll put it up for like 5 or 6 seconds. And if you want to write down the information on the project, then you can hit the pause button and write it down. That might be the easiest way to do that. So I don't know, if we get 2 or 3 people who want to do this, that would be awesome. If we get 200 or 300 people who want to do this, I'm not sure how many I'll be able to put in every video, but you know, I'm here every day, so we could surely get through them at some point or other. So why don't we start with 10 a day? If I get 10, I'll put 10 up, and then we can all share them together. It's kind of fun, isn't it? Okay, I'm just gonna get past the middle mark of my heel, and then I should probably go back in. I am sewing bags like crazy. I was chatting with a friend this morning, and I mentioned, you know, we were talking about what we were doing, and I said, you know, I'm completely hooked on embroidering these bag panels now. The kids are gonna have to be careful, because if they stand still for any length of time, I might just start to embroider their clothes. I'm having a lot of fun. Anyways, I'm excited to share the bags with you. There will be a shop update on Friday, and but I'll share more with you later in the week on that. Okay, so I'm just past the halfway point. So when I put these back on circular needle, I always have 3 stitch markers to help me keep my place until I've completely finished the gusset decreases. So this is the one that marks the middle of the back of the heel. So basically, if I had DPNs, this would be needle 4 right here, and these stitches here would be on needle 1. And then I have these 2 stitch markers that tell me where the decreases need to happen on both sides of the sock. And that way, if you do what you're supposed to do and you're paying attention, you'll end up with a sock that will fit your foot, or your father-in-law's foot. A little update on my father-in-law. He is still overseas, where he has been for the last, well, when did he get there? He's been there since January. He spends every winter in the same place, so this wasn't unusual. And then when, you know, the call came for people to come home, he and we, but mostly him, made the decision that, you know, he would be safer off staying where he was instead of traveling at that time. And his brother, who is his brother who was visiting at the time, actually has been staying with him, so he hasn't been alone. He has had his brother there with him, and they're coping, they're managing. So he is scheduled to, he has a plane ticket to come home at the beginning of June. So we're crossing our fingers that all goes according to plan, and that we can, of course he will have to do a 2-week quarantine when he comes home, and then we will hopefully be able to be together soon. So thank you to anyone who has asked, but he is well. And so there we have it. I have until the beginning of June to finish his sock. Oh, go on. I will finish it much sooner than the beginning of June, for sure, right? How's my yarn situation? Let's check it out. Oh, I still have, you know, it doesn't look like much, but that's still actually quite a bit of yarn. And I have another skein as well, so it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Oh, one little handy tool that I've gotten here. Those of you who knit socks, you might know the Kitchener stitch quite well, or you always have to look it up like me every time the Kitchener stitch is a special thing that you do to close up the stitches that are at the toe. You can use the Kitchener stitch for other things as well, but many people use it to close up the toe. Well, I belonged to a yarn sock month of the month club from a local yarn shop that's in St. Thomas. Oh, it is the most beautiful yarn shop. We have been so lucky with yarn shops in my area. We had Knit Stitch. She was in London. She closed in London and she moved her shop to Stratford, which is another beautiful little town. And I still have yet to travel to Stratford to visit her shop there. And she's just a wonderful lady. I love Suzanne. And the other yarn shop that's in St. Thomas, it's called the Little Red Mitten, and the two women who took over the shop a couple of years ago now, their yarn dyeing business is called Leo and Roxy, and they make the most beautiful yarn. And so I belonged to a Sock of the Month club that they were the dyers of, and they are also the owners of this yarn shop. And when they put out their Sock of the Month club, they usually had a little extra in it. And one of the extras was this Kitchener stitch keychain. And how awesome is that? So I now keep this in my project bag with my socks. And so now it's always there, ready to go to encourage me. Make sure that my yarn's in there. Yep. For when I'm ready to get to the toe. So Lydia, I gave you at least an extra 5 minutes. Hopefully you got a few extra stitches put in there. Okay. It's so nice outside. It's so nice outside. All right, time to make a coffee and get back to the sewing machine. I hope you're all well. And I will see you tomorrow with a special unboxing from Glendon Place. Take care, everybody, and happy stitching.